Every single one of us faces struggles, moments of fear, loss, uncertainty, and pain. But there is a source of unshakable strength available to us. It's not found in wealth, power, or even our own strength. It's found in the one who has never failed and never will. If you feel lost, if you're searching for hope, then stay with me. Because today I want to share 6 powerful truths that will transform your perspective and lead you to the help you need. Psalm 46:1 tells us God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. When the world shakes around you, when everything you've depended on crumbles, there is a refuge, a safe place, and that is in God. You don't have to fight your battles alone. He is with you, shielding you, guiding you, lifting you up when you can't stand on your own. Imagine a fortress, a stronghold that no storm can break, no enemy can penetrate. That is who God is, an unshakable tower of strength, a shelter from the storms of life. Think of the times when you felt abandoned, when the weight of the world seemed unbearable. God was there. He is not a distant observer. He is an active protector, fighting for you even when you cannot see it. The world will tell you to find security in money, power, or human relationships. But all these things can fail. God never will. His promises are firm, His love is unending, and His power is limitless. When David faced Goliath, he did not rely on armor or weapons. He relied on God, his refuge. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, he did not panic. He rested in the assurance that God was with him. And just like them, you too can take refuge in the Lord. Maybe right now your life feels like a storm. The winds are raging, the waves are high, and you don't know if you'll make it through. But hear this. God is not watching from a distance. He is in the storm with you. He holds you in the palm of His hand. He whispers, "Be still and know that I am God." Your troubles are not too great for Him. Your fears are not too overwhelming for Him. Your weaknesses are not too heavy for Him. He is the rock that will not be moved. He is the anchor that holds you steady. He is the refuge that will never fail you. So when fear tries to take hold, when anxiety tries to consume you, when darkness tries to surround you, run to God. Hide yourself in His presence. Find peace in His word. Seek shelter in His promise, because no matter what you face, no matter what battle you are fighting, no matter how hopeless things may seem, God is your refuge, and in Him you are safe. Host Psalm 46:1 tells us God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. When the world shakes around you, when everything you've depended on crumbles, there is a refuge, a safe place, and that is in God. You don't have to fight your battles alone. He is with you, shielding you, guiding you, lifting you up when you can't stand on your own. In times of trouble, our first instinct is often to worry, to panic, or to try and fix things ourselves. But what if instead we turn to prayer? Prayer isn't just words, it's the most powerful weapon you have. Philippians 4:6-7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God will guard your hearts and minds." Prayer invites God into your situation, and when God steps in, miracles happen. Imagine standing at the edge of an ocean with the waves crashing all around you, feeling powerless against the storm. But then you cry out to God, and suddenly the waves begin to calm. That is the power of prayer. It shifts the atmosphere, moves mountains, and unlocks doors that seemed impossible to open. The Bible tells us that Elijah was just a man like us, but when he prayed earnestly, the heavens shut, and it did not rain for 3.5 years. When he prayed again, the heavens opened and the rain poured down. Prayer changes things. It's not a last resort, it's the first line of defense. Jesus Himself prayed continually. Before performing miracles, He prayed. Before facing the cross, He prayed. If the Son of God needed prayer, how much more do we? When you pray, you are not just speaking empty words into the air. You are entering into divine communication with the Creator of the universe. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who raised Lazarus from the dead, and who defeated sin and death, hears your every word, and He responds. Prayer brings peace in the middle of chaos. It strengthens the weak, uplifts the weary, and revives the brokenhearted. The enemy wants to keep you silent because he knows that a praying believer is a powerful believer. When you pray, you step into God's presence, and where God is, darkness cannot remain. So today, no matter what storm you are facing, no matter how impossible your situation seems, cry out to him. He is listening. And when you call on his name, expect the heavens to move, because prayer unlocks the power of God. Host. In times of trouble, our first instinct is often to worry, to panic, or to try and fix things ourselves. But what if instead we turn to prayer? Prayer isn't just words, it's the most powerful weapon you have. Philippians 4:67 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God will guard your hearts and minds." Prayer invites God into your situation, and when God steps in, miracles happen. Fear is the enemy's greatest tool. It whispers that you are alone, that there is no way out, that the darkness will never lift. But faith shouts a different story. Faith declares that God is greater than any storm, that he is sovereign over every trial, and that his promises never fail. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to trust God, even when fear tries to overtake you. The Bible is filled with moments where faith triumphed over fear. When Peter stepped out of the boat and walked on water, fear tried to pull him down, but his faith in Jesus kept him afloat. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea with Pharaoh's army behind them, fear told them they were trapped, but faith led Moses to stretch out his staff, and the waters parted. Faith is the key that unlocks God's miracle. Fear tells you to give up, to stop believing, to focus on the obstacles, but faith tells you to press on, to keep trusting, to fix your eyes on the one who is greater than the storm. The enemy wants to paralyze you with fear, to make you doubt God's goodness and his power. But 2 Timothy 1:7 reminds us, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." That means fear is not from God. It is a lie from the enemy. When fear rises, speak God's truth over it. Declare his promises. Choose faith, because faith moves mountains. When David stood before Goliath, fear told him he was too small, too weak, too unprepared, but faith in God gave him the courage to fight. And with a single stone, the giant fell. Right now, you may be facing a giant. Maybe it's a financial struggle, a health crisis, a broken relationship, or an uncertain future. Fear tells you it's impossible, but faith reminds you that nothing is impossible with God. Hebrews 11:1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." That means you don't have to see the way out to believe that God is making one. You don't have to understand how the breakthrough will come to trust that it is on its way. Faith is believing before you see. It is standing firm when everything around you says to waver. It is trusting that the God who was faithful before will be faithful again. Fear may try to creep in, but it does not have the final say. Faith, and when you choose faith over fear, you will see the power of God move in your life in ways you never imagined. The enemy wants you to believe that no one understands your pain, that no one sees your tears. But let me remind you, God sees, he knows, and he cares. Hebrews 13:5 says, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." That means in your darkest valley, in your deepest sorrow, he is right there beside you. He hasn't abandoned you, and he never will. Imagine a child lost in a crowd, looking around in fear, feeling alone and helpless. But then a familiar voice calls out, the voice of their father, strong and reassuring. That is God's voice in our lives. We may feel lost, but He is always near, calling us back, reaching out to hold us. Loneliness is one of the greatest tools the enemy uses against us. He whispers, "No one cares. No one understands. You are completely alone." But those are lies. The truth is, God is closer than your very breath. In your moments of deepest despair, He is not only with you, He is carrying. Think of the story of the footprints in the sand, where a man looked back at his life and saw only one set of footprints in his hardest moments. He asked God why He had left him, and God answered, "My child, I did not leave you. When you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you." Right now, you may feel overwhelmed, abandoned, unsure of what's next. But know this, you are never alone. In the stillness of the night, when your heart is heavy, He is with you. When tears fall, He catches each one. When you can't take another step, He strengthens you. Even Jesus, in His final moments on the cross, cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" But even in that moment, He was not abandoned. And because of His sacrifice, you will never be abandoned either. God's presence is not based on feelings. It is a fact. You may not always feel Him, but He is there. He walks beside you in the fire, just as He did with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He stands with you in the storm, just as He did with Peter on the water. He hears your cries, just as He heard Hagar in the wilderness. No matter what you face, no matter who has left you, no matter how broken you feel, God is with you. You are never alone. Rest in that truth. Hold on to that promise, and let His presence be your strength. Here's an expanded version of the selected text in an 800-word single paragraph. Prayer is not just a ritual or a last resort. When everything else has failed, it is the key that unlocks the unlimited power of God in our lives. In times of trouble, when fear grips our hearts and uncertainty clouds our vision, prayer becomes the bridge that connects us to divine intervention. It is in the moments of our greatest distress that we must remember Philippians 4:6-7, which urges us not to be anxious about anything, but to present our requests to God with thanksgiving. And what does God promise in return? A peace that surpasses all understanding, a calmness in the storm, and an assurance that we are held in the hands of a mighty and loving Father. The truth is, when we pray, we are not merely speaking words into the air. We are calling upon the Creator of the universe, the one who spoke the stars into existence and formed the depths of the seas. Imagine the power behind such a connection. Prayer is not a passive exercise, it is an active engagement with the divine. It moves mountains, breaks chains, and brings the supernatural into the natural. When you are struggling, feeling weak, or overwhelmed by life's challenges, stop and pray. Cry out to God with honesty, and you will find that His presence is immediate, His comfort is real, and His strength is made perfect in your weakness. Many times we try to handle things on our own, carrying burdens that were never meant for us to bear alone. But Jesus Himself invited us in Matthew 11:28, saying, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." What a promise! Prayer is the act of surrendering our battles to the one who has already won the war. It shifts our focus from the problem to the problem solver, from fear to faith, from defeat to victory. Even when we don't see immediate answers, our prayers are never wasted. God hears every whisper, every cry, and every unspoken word of our heart. Sometimes He answers instantly, other times He calls us to trust Him in the waiting. But rest assured, He is always working behind the scenes. Have you ever seen a situation that seemed impossible turn around because of prayer? Testimonies abound of people who have seen miracles, breakthroughs, and divine provisions simply because they refused to give up on praying. James 5:16 reminds us that the prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. Your prayers matter. They shape destinies, heal broken hearts, and invite heaven's power into earthly situations. So when trouble comes knocking, don't just stand there feeling defeated. Get on your knees and pray. Declare the promises of God over your life. Speak His truth louder than the lies of the enemy. The devil trembles when a believer prays because he knows that a praying person is a powerful person. There is no darkness too deep, no trouble too great, and no sorrow too overwhelming that God cannot handle. Through prayer, we align our hearts with His will, and in doing so, we experience the fullness of His peace, guidance, and miraculous intervention. So today, make prayer your first response, not your last resort. Before you panic, pray. Before you give up, pray. Before you take another step, pray. Because when you pray, heaven moves and God's power is unleashed in ways beyond anything you can imagine. Faith over fear is a powerful concept that underscores the importance of trusting in something greater than the uncertainties and challenges life presents. At its core, this idea suggests that when faced with adversity, instead of succumbing to the natural and instinctual response of fear, one should choose faith in themselves and others or in a higher power. Fear is a primal emotion, often rooted in the unknown or in the anticipation of failure, loss, or danger. It can paralyze, limit potential, and prevent growth. Yet when we lean into faith, whether it's faith in our abilities, in the process of life, or in a divine presence, we create an inner strength that empowers us to overcome the challenges that fear often amplifies. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, but transforms our approach to it. Instead of allowing fear to control our actions, faith encourages us to take bold steps, even when the outcome is uncertain. It provides a sense of purpose and resilience that allows us to navigate through tough times with hope, courage, and clarity. Moreover, faith is not just about spiritual beliefs. It can manifest in many forms. It could be trust in a partner, confidence in the decisions we make, or belief in the future despite current setbacks. Having faith involves cultivating a mindset that the present challenges are temporary and that there is a greater purpose behind them, whether we fully understand it at the moment or not. It is the lens through which we can see beyond our immediate fears to a larger perspective, helping us make choices aligned with our true values and goals. For instance, in moments of personal or professional failure, instead of retreating into self-doubt or fear of judgment, faith gives us the strength to learn, evolve, and push forward. Similarly, in situations of loss or grief, faith becomes the foundation on which we rebuild our sense of peace and direction. By choosing faith over fear, we acknowledge that while fear is natural, it does not have to dictate our reality. Rather than seeing it as a signal to stop or retreat, we can reframe fear as a signal to proceed with caution, but with confidence in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. Embracing this philosophy does not imply living a life free from fear, but one where fear is acknowledged as a part of the human experience, yet not allowed to dictate the course of our actions or decisions. In this sense, faith becomes a force that propels us forward, offering clarity and hope even in the darkest of times. This mindset also helps us recognize that fear often stems from external pressures, societal expectations, or imagined scenarios that are often not as threatening as we perceive them to be. By trusting in our faith, we are able to see past these illusions and tap into our inner strength, realizing that the only real limitation is the one we place on ourselves. Ultimately, faith over fear is about making a conscious choice to embrace the unknown, to trust that we are capable of overcoming obstacles, and to move through life with a sense of empowerment rather than paralyzing anxiety. It's a commitment to living authentically, to stepping into the future with confidence, and to understanding that fear is simply an emotion that, when met with faith, loses its power to control us. By prioritizing faith, we nurture our growth, resilience, and ability to face life's challenges with grace, knowing that each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory in itself.